Hey everybody, welcome back to the Overwatch Project. It's August 27th, 2025. And if you're watching my channel, there's a really good chance you probably already know about the Milgram Experiment from Stanley Milgram from the 1960s. And essentially, if you don't know about it, really briefly, it was an experiment in obedience to perceived authority. And the participants of the experiment were told that they were going to give someone an electric shock if they got a wrong answer in like a test question or something. And a person dressed as a scientist or in a lab coat would be telling the person they were conducting the experiment, who was unaware that it was an experiment, to continuously give a higher electrical shock to the person who was just acting. He wasn't actually being shocked. And it was to see if someone would just obey and give lethal electrical shocks, as far as they could tell from their control panel that they're working with, to a person simply because someone that said they were a scientist or a doctor told them to do it. And this guy, Milgram, was kind of shocked that most people went along with this. They simply do not resist what they think is authority. And I was watching this video the other day. It's one of those people that run into these inland border checkpoints, and I'm watching this teacher resist the simple instruction. If you don't know about these, they've been deemed constitutional. Now, that doesn't mean that it's actually right or correct, because just because 9 people in pajama robes said so doesn't make anything actually so. But not everybody thinks like me. So this guy, these border agents, they can be anywhere with, I think, up to 125 miles inland, away from a border, stop cars on the highway at these checkpoints, and then they ask you if you're an American citizen. And I believe if you just say yes, they just, for the most part, let you go on your way. Unless they have some reason to detain you, they let you go on your way. Well, of course, a lot of people don't like this, right? They don't like to have to tell anybody anything when they're stopped for no reason. When government tards in the United States stop people for no reason, there's a lot of people that will simply resist that because it's not American. And these clowns hold up these cards, or they show you like a pamphlet, and it basically says, because these people said it was okay, we can do this. It's literally the Milgram Experiment. And it's kind of, to me, very interesting to watch. So I'm going to link to this video so you can watch it for yourself. But not so much for what the teacher is doing. Although she's resisting, like just complying with perceived authority, her reasoning behind it isn't what I was interested in. It was what the border guards think, because they're really behaving like the people in the Milgram Experiment administering the shock. They're behaving that way. And, you know, this guy Milgram, he comes up with this experiment in the 60s, which kind of mainstreamed or revealed this behavior humans have to everybody in the 60s. But really, the psychos that run governments, that run cults, that run religions, that run control over other people's lives, these people probably have been aware of this phenomena for, you know, thousands upon thousands of years, probably since the beginning of whatever, every civilization ever, even the ones we don't know about that we lost history on. And it's a common trait that a lot of humans have. Now, some people are resistant to it, like me. Maybe you are. We just don't roll over and obey because somebody in a costume tells us to. We need a reason to listen to somebody. If you look at the history of pirates in the Republic of Pirates in the 1600s, late 1600s, early 1700s. It was like a stateless society, and if you were like on a pirate ship in that era, if you study the history, you'll find that it's a very independent thinking group of people that did not acknowledge any authority inside themselves unless they agreed on it for good reason, and it was only temporary. A captain of a pirate ship could easily be replaced if he started screwing up, you know. And not to get off to a sidetrack from that, but when you watch this video, these people, these uniformed, brainwashed NPCs are just, they're like on autopilot. And it wasn't just there. There's this video here from, I think, Arizona or New Mexico or somewhere, where this woman, her behavior was curious to me. It's a case where the police then later get sued. They have to pay her like $500,000. They took like 10 shots at this woman in her car with her dogs in the car. It's another video that you should check out and see what you think. But I find her behavior interesting. When she first interacts with these cops, when they tell her to do something and in her mind she didn't do nothing wrong, she simply just disregards their authority and tries their perceived authority. Authoritydom, gurudom, officialdom, these are all control mechanisms. And unless you have some legitimate shit to back that stuff up with, where you can explain to people why, they should do something a certain way or perhaps cooperate with you, then it's just bullshit. It doesn't mean anything to me. I need reasons to do what I say, to do what, if somebody's asking me to do something. Otherwise, I get very uncooperative. And sometimes you'll find videos on YouTube that can show you that some people can, in fact, think for themselves, even if they work in government-tard land. I know that for a fact when I was as a government-tard employee, I simply did not go along with things just because I was told to do so. I was very passive-aggressive. I was very, unliked by supervisors because stupid orders, stupid instructions, things that made no sense, or things that I thought were violation of other people's rights simply did not go well with me. And I found ways to, resist that shit. And in this particular video, this female officer here shows that she has potential to have a brain of her own, or a mind of her own. So they were doing some kind of ridiculous training, which when you're watching this video or listening to it, it's mostly the recorded audio from their internal affairs investigation. She basically refused to do something entirely stupid simply because the gun range instructor wanted to do something entirely stupid, which was something called head indexing with their firearm, which when you see a picture of it, in which they show in this video, James Madison shows that, it was beyond ridiculous. And because of that, she got in trouble for internal affairs. It's interesting. And you have a post. I'm going to repost this video. I posted it in an earlier video. It's Dr. Russ Hurlburt, and it has nothing to do with the fact that he's a doctor, but he's a man researching the inner world of what goes on in people's minds. And he's found that, a lot of people don't really have this like rich inner monologue, visual imagery, imagination. And he also, in this particular video here, which is titled Russ Hurlburt, Is Consciousness Unified? ? This other guy, I guess he's another so-called scientist or whatever, and he's asking Hurlburt if he thinks, based on his research, consciousness is unified. And I was amazed to hear for the first time somebody in the officialdom world, because normally they peddle this everything is all one, we're all one consciousness bullshit, And I don't think so at all. Matter of fact, I clearly don't believe that I have the same consciousness as a lot of other people out there, especially during the 2020 era there, where the what happened, and the mask-tards and the vax-tards that were out there, and I just did not go along with any of that shit. And it's because I had a mind of my own, and the stuff that we were told doesn't make any sense, and I don't go along with shit when it doesn't make sense. It's all part of learning to resist bullshit authority, which I think is a key component in breaking the reincarnation soul trap. Because when you get out of here, after your life is over, if you get presented with the so-called authority that you believe in, then you're going to be controllable. And I don't believe in authority. So it's interesting to see this guy say that he doesn't believe consciousness is unified because of the variations in different types of people. And when you put this all together with the Milgram Experiment, and you watch that only a small minority of people were able to resist following orders blindly because they thought an authority was giving it to them, you gotta wonder if there isn't a different kind of consciousness in some people than others. And I started to wonder, because a lot of the origin stories of the human, I guess, soul container, the avatar that people that consciousness incarnates to in here as a human, if there isn't some kind of generic earth-made, earth-bound consciousness that simply belongs to humans that have consciousness that originates from here. Like when the Loosh farm was made, if I'm explaining this correctly, were the original humans generated with a consciousness that isn't truly there. It's like an NPC consciousness with some part of the spark of the creator, which is designed to help make loosh, or energy for non-physical beings, or whatever it is. And then beings or consciousness from outside also incarnates here. So you get a mixture of consciousness. If you understand what I'm saying, is that possible? Could that be a thing? And if it is, then that could explain why 20 or 30% of the population is different than the rest. And the rest seems to be quite robotic to me. They don't seem to be of the same consciousness. And this is why the Gnostics wrote about basically what they call skin jobs. Humans that are matter only. Or the Cathars talked about this. The Greeks kind of refer to this. You have modern day writers refer to this, like Dolores Cannon and her backdrop people. Not that she's like somebody that I'm pointing to as a good source for anybody studying the reincarnation soul trap, but you can get a lot of half-truths or 70% truth from a lot of these so-called gurus. I just be careful when anybody that is perceived as a guru, because to me they're just trying to be an authority. And don't think of me as an authority. I'm only an authority to myself. I'm sharing information out there for other people to look at, and then you do your own research and come up with your own stuff. But I'm just putting out what I've come up with in my research, and it did seem different during the whole era there in 2020 that there was just people that just blindly, and they didn't just obey orders, they inflicted, with some of them with threats of violence or actual violence, to obey these orders that they were putting out there for people to do, and for you to try to be afraid and not be able to question anything. So, what do you think? What do you think about that? To me, it's like the Milgram Experiment is like around me every day. Wherever I go out into the world, I see people like this. People that will just impose their will through you, and some of them are authorized to use violence to do it. So, at least in their own minds, they think that they have that authority, so they don't have any hesitation to do it. And when you watch them shoot at this woman in this one video, they shoot at her like 10 times. She gets like almost $500,000 in a settlement, I think, from the city or the police department. Anyway, that's all I want to talk to you about today. Look for all the description, the video, the links to these videos, and these articles on the Milgram Experiment will be in the description section below. So I'll talk to you all later. Have a good day, good night, whenever you're watching this. If you're new here, go to my website, overwatchproject.com. You can find all my links there. I'm also on X, and you can find me there as well. You can check out all the latest stuff I post about every day. All right, everybody, take it easy. I'll talk to you all later.